Clara Dao had fame, respect, and a loyal following that adored her. She was the internet's sweetheart, spreading body positivity and self-love. But then, everything changed. One video. One moment. And suddenly, Clara wasn't the role model people thought she was. The same followers who once praised her were now calling her dangerous. Accusations spread like wildfire, and within days, her reputation crumbled. So what did Clara Dao do? How did she go from an inspiration to a cautionary tale? The truth behind her downfall is shocking, and once you see it, you'll never look at her the same way again.
I'm a naturally skinny person. I have never gained weight since my adult life. I've never have to worry about my weight.
Clara Dao's platform was simple and powerful. Love you as you are. She was a voice of reassurance, in particular to anyone who felt that they didn't fit in. Clara was different. She didn't push the cosmetic enhancements, nor the weight gain supplements, nor the current diet. Embrace your natural body however it is. Breaking the myth that only curvy bodies were desirable, she spoke openly about being skinny and flat-chested. But she didn't stop there. Clara did not shy away from topics that many, if not most, influencers avoided. She explained to her audience that being hairy is the normal. Body hair is not something to feel embarrassed about. She urged people to release themselves from the expectation of shaving, waxing, or adhering to everything society forced them into being fit based on what people want you to be. The message was simple: you are enough. Her words were liberating to many. She made young girls and boys feel seen, heard, and understood. She was more than an influencer. She was a friend, a sister, a guide. Clara's comments were filled with messages from fans who thanked her for making them feel confident in their own skin. Yet the more people that had heard her, the imposable truth that there were in fact many of them young impressionable kids. She was looked up to by teenagers, and even children whom used every word she said as fact. It was about now that things began to change. It was not all harmless because whilst Clara had good intentions, she did not always give good advice. One video changed everything. What was supposed to be an empowering video became something more, something dangerous. Such a woman, that preached about love of self, had actually propagated some message that was creating more misery than good. You must be wondering, how could a single video ruin all she had spent 4 years building? What could she have said to the point of making admiration morph into outrage? The dark truth is that this is where it starts. Her reality was exposed. The misinformation was out. And now people were starting to see the other side of Clara Dao. The video. In the now infamous clip, Clara confidently told her audience to eat only when they were really, really hungry. The statement began as a common wellness piece which did not seem unusual. Audience members discovered her actual message shortly after Clara's words left her lips. The statement focused on restricting calorie intake to levels an organism would experience only during intense hunger. Although she may not have intended this effect, her statement created a need for severe calorie restriction. And the worst part? The people listening to her message included both kids and adults who did not possess the ability to analyze her words carefully. It was kids, teenagers. Many people considered Clara an expert source for understanding body image and self-esteem matters. The backlash was immediate. Comments filled up with viewers who felt both surprise and anxiety about what she said. Some users supported her view by explaining that she intended to teach people about mindful food consumption, marking warning signs about the risky advice were not only health practitioners but also several other individuals. Professional experts in nutrition identified the great risks associated with this type of advice. Teaching young people to eat only when they're really, really hungry can lead to unhealthy habits, low energy levels, and in extreme cases, eating disorders. The content seemed positive towards self-care but had concealed dangers within its words. Fans and parents along with daily people joined the chorus of individuals who spoke against the trends they had been watching. They had trusted Clara. They had believed in her. Now, they were questioning everything. When social media influencers share their opinions, it becomes easier for their followers to trust those opinions even though these influencers might be unaware of their influence. Strength. Dr. Clara Dao did not hold medical credentials in either medicine or nutrition studies. She was an influencer. From their perspective, young people failed to recognize the professional qualifications that should have mattered. All statements by Clara have absolute credibility. And so, the damage spread. Quietly, subtly, but dangerously. The young females who fought with their self-image became uncertain about their hunger signals. Changing their body signals seemed unimportant because of their fear about early eating. Some even shared their own experiences online, thanking Clara for helping them eat less. They did not view this as a food issue but rather used it for controlling their intake. About discipline. What they didn't realize was that they were falling into dangerous habits, mistaking restriction for self-care. But this didn't help. It was a recipe for disaster. The controversy surrounding Clara didn't just put her own reputation on the line, it exposed a much bigger issue: the unchecked power of influencers and the responsibility they often ignore. In an era where social media figures wield immense influence over young and impressionable audiences, a single harmful message can spread like wildfire. Clara's words, whether intentional or not, had already planted a toxic seed in the minds of thousands. People were no longer just asking if Clara was wrong. They were asking deeper, more unsettling questions. How many other influencers are doing the same thing? How many more are spreading dangerous messages under the guise of self-love and wellness? How often are young audiences being misled by people they idolize? The conversation had shifted from Clara's actions to a broader critique of influencer culture itself. And most importantly, was this the moment that ended Clara Dao's career? Because once the truth is out, there's no going back. Trust, once broken, is nearly impossible to rebuild. Fans who once adored her began to question everything she had ever said. Brands reconsidered their partnerships. The damage was done, and the internet, as it always does, was already moving on to the next controversy, the next influencer under scrutiny. But Clara's name would forever be tied to this moment. Discussions spread like wildfire, with users dissecting her words, sharing their concerns, and warning others about the dangers of following such advice. Some expressed their disappointment, saying they once looked up to her but now questioned everything she stood for. Others called it outright irresponsible, promoting borderline starvation under the guise of mindful eating. On grounds how dangerous it is, most especially for those young audiences who could be starting from having low self-esteem to disordered eating. Clara Dao became the target of an avalanche of criticism, and it was immediately responded to with a backlash. So what now? It went so far beyond just Clara. It became more of an argument regarding the use of social media influencer for health-related content, rather than just a reaction to a single influencer. It started to question whether influencers should be answering to the things they tell or share over the internet. What is the difference between personal experience and reckless advice? How much responsibility should they take on when their words have the power to change millions of human behaviors? People wanted answers. Besides, they wanted Clara to take responsibility. Yet Clara remained silent. The damage had been done, however her silence was deafening. Now, the once adored influencer was going to realize accountability. They began distancing themselves from brands that they previously worked with her. The way she authentically built her audience, followed by a wave of followers who were questioning her integrity, should have been learned from. It had been the very people who had put her on a pedestal now tearing her down. This wasn't just one video. It was about trust. The conversation was no longer just about her, as one thing was certain. Watch, it was about all influencers, either those who know or don't know that they have the power to determine the course of one's life with a single post. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe and comment.